All right, how is everyone doing today? My name is John Hester, and I'm from Living Soul Journey, and I am a certified personal trainer and a health coach. And I'm so glad you could be here today for this month's webinar. And this month's webinar is called Whole Foods, Whole Health. All right, so I'm glad that you could be here. And congratulations on taking the first step towards better health. And I figure what better time to talk about our eating habits as we are about to transition into a new season with spring just around the corner. So today I'm going to share what it means to eat a plant-based whole foods diet, talk about its benefits, and how to go about making the transition. So let's go right ahead and get started. Let's begin with reviewing some definitions. So whole foods is described as natural foods that are not heavily processed, and that means whole, unrefined, or minimally refined ingredients. Plant-based means food that comes from plants and doesn't contain animal ingredients such as meat, milk, eggs, or honey. A whole foods plant-based diet is a lifestyle that is based on eating mostly plants. It excludes or drastically reduces animal products, including meat, dairy, and eggs, and processed, highly refined foods such as bleached flours, refined sugars, and oils. The term vegan describes a lifestyle that excludes, as far as possible, all animal products for foods, clothing, and any other purpose. This includes, but is not limited to, meat, fish, dairy, eggs, and honey. Vegetarian is more widely known lifestyle, and it excludes foods that consist of or have been produced with the aid of products composed of or created from any part of the body of a living or dead animal. This includes meat, poultry, fish, or insects, and vegetarians typically eat dairy and eggs. An omnivore is a person that eats food of both plant and animal origin, and a carnivore follows a lifestyle that includes consuming meat. So you may be thinking that a whole foods plant-based diet is going to be hard work or boring, and that avoiding animal ingredients limits your options. Well, think again. This is your opportunity to become a more innovative cook. And as you try and work with new ingredients, you'll gain a deeper appreciation for food. Think of this experience as a flavor adventure. Food allows you to travel and experience a variety of cuisines from your own home. Sure, if you cook the same veggies the same way day after day, you'll get bored. The same is true with any food. Trying a plant-based whole food diet is your opportunity to explore and expand your palates. So some of you might be wondering, why should I try a whole food plant-based diet? Well, there's a ton of research that's been done providing excellent scientific evidence that many chronic diseases can be controlled, reduced, or even reversed by moving to a whole food plant-based diet. A book called The China Study, noted as the most comprehensive study of nutrition ever, shows that a plant-based diet can reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, certain types of cancer, and other significant illnesses. These are pretty big claims. The research done in the China study has been the landmark for many other studies since, reporting more significant fitness payoffs, more energy, reduced inflammation, and better health outcomes. Three categories of plant based benefits have been identified. The first is easy weight management. People who eat a plant based diet tend to be leaner than those who don't, and the diet makes it easy to lose weight and keep it off without counting calories. The second is disease prevention. Whole food, plant based eating can reduce, halt, or even reverse chronic diseases, including heart disease and type 2 diabetes. And then the last is a lighter environmental footprint. A plant based diet places much less stress on the environment. So let's go over some of the disease prevention benefits in more detail. One of the most well known benefits of a whole food plant based diet is increased heart health. Those of you that joined me for last month's webinar, that was the subject, heart health. Did you know that a plant based diet is the only diet proven to prevent and reverse heart disease? No other diet can make that claim. Researchers have been studying the benefits of plant based diets since the 1980s. Recent research presented during the 2017 American Heart Association's scientific sessions revealed that plant based diets could reduce the risk of heart failure by 42% among people with no history of heart disease. Another study found that participants who consume a plant based diet even showed a reversal of coronary artery disease. Protective factors are attributed to both the quality and types of foods consumed. For example, the study published in the Journal of American College of Cardiology found that among 200,000 participants who followed a healthy plant based diet rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, and nuts had a significant lower risk of developing heart disease than those following a non plant based diet. It's important to note that the diet also found that unhealthy plant based diets that include sugary drinks, fruit juices, and refined grains were associated with a slightly increased risk of heart disease. Research suggests that following a plant based diet may reduce the risk of certain types of cancer. There are two important factors to know when discussing cancer. First, cancer cells thrive in a high sugar environment. When the cells are starved by reducing sugar, they cannot flourish. Second, while DNA can play a role in the risk of developing cancer, diet, lifestyle, and environmental factors are modifiable conditions that also contribute. Vegetarian diets are associated with a significantly lower risk of gastrointestinal and colorectal cancer. Did you know that the American Cancer Society recommends that cancer survivors follow plant based diets that are high in fruits, vegetables, and unrefined grains, while at the same time being low in red and processed meats, refined grains, and sugars? Research has shown that plant-based diets positively affect survival in cancers of the breast, colon, prostate, and skin. A whole foods plant-based diet can help reduce inflammation, boost your immune system, and decrease body weight all of which are attributed to reducing cancer risks. Adopting a whole foods plant based diet may be a useful tool in managing and reducing your risk of developing diabetes. Countless studies have examined the effects of diet and diabetes. The results are promising. A study of more than 200,000 people published in a peer reviewed weekly medical journal found that those who adhered to a healthy plant based eating pattern had a 34% lower risk of developing diabetes than those who followed unhealthy, non plant based diets. Similarly, a study published in Diabetes Care demonstrated that plant based diets were associated with nearly a 50% reduction in the risk of type 2 diabetes compared to non vegetarian diets. There's also good news for people with diabetes. A study published in Cardiovascular Diagnosis and Therapy found plant based diets have been shown to improve blood sugar control in people with diabetes. Plant based eating is associated with many health benefits, and the brain is no exception. Plant based diets appear to influence both mental health and cognitive function positively. Higher levels of antioxidants in the blood from plant sources have been associated with a significantly lower risk of depression and lower suicide rates. In both cross sectional and interventional studies, vegetarians showed fewer symptoms of depression, anxiety, stress, and mood disturbance than omnivores. The higher levels of antioxidants are also attributed to slowing the progression of Alzheimer's disease and reversing cognitive deficits. Countless studies report an association between higher intakes of fruits and vegetables and a reduction in cognitive decline. A meta analysis, which is a review of several different studies of a similar subject, found that eating more fruits and vegetables led to a 20% reduction in the risk of developing cognitive impairment or dementia. The analysis reviewed 9 studies, including over 31,000 people. So, as you can see, the benefits are pretty astonishing. I could go on all day sharing scientifically backed benefits of whole food plant based eating, but I think you get the picture. Now we're going to get into how to go about making the transition to a whole food plant based diet. Switching to a plant based diet is a lifestyle change that can be intimidating at first. Instead of focusing on what you shouldn't eat or foods to avoid, it's more effective to start including more of the good stuff. Here's a quick overview of the major food categories you'll enjoy on a plant based diet. So, first, we have fruits. Any type of fruit that includes apples, bananas, grapes, strawberries, citrus fruits. Second is vegetables. Plenty of veggies, including peppers, corn, avocados, lettuce, spinach, kale, peas, and collards. Next is tubers. Those are root vegetables like potatoes, carrots, parsnips, sweet potatoes, and beets. Next is whole grains. Um, any starch that's in its whole form, and that includes quinoa, brown rice, millet, whole wheat, oats, and barley. And yes, even popcorn. And finally, we have legumes, and that includes any kind of bean as well as lentils. And don't worry, there's much more than what I mentioned. Success in any aspect of life comes down to setting a goal. Here are some tips for establishing an achievable goal for yourself. Become aware of a need. Envision the outcome, set the intention, focus on the goal, take action to achieve the goal, and have faith that if you set the intention, focus, and take action, you will reach your goal for the outcome that is best. You may want to start big, then create stepping stones or smaller goals to achieve the big picture goal. So, for example, where do you want your health to be in 10 years from now? This is your big picture goal. From here, you'll create smaller goals that will enable you to reach your ultimate goal. One way to do this is through SMART goal setting. SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, rewarding, and timely. Remember, any goal worth achieving is a goal worth working toward. Once you have your goal planned out, you'll want to prepare your kitchen to help keep you on track. This means removing or putting foods you're trying to avoid out of sight. You can start by adding items to your do list or removing items on a don't list. So, examples of foods to put on your do list, the ones that you should eat: greens, fruits, water, lemon, vitamins, legumes, nuts, seeds, herbal teas. And examples of what to put on your don't list, things that you should abstain from: sugar and sugar substitutes, caffeine, dairy, meat, processed foods, and soda. A well stocked pantry will help you along your road to success. You may eventually want to invest in a juicer, a blender, or a food dehydrator. And while these are nice to have, they aren't necessary for getting started. You will, however, want to invest in some glass containers with lids to help you with your food prep. All right, let's talk about shopping. Now, some people enjoy shopping, like me, for instance. I enjoy shopping, but I know that some of you dread it. So let's make it easier for yourself by meal prepping and gathering a few recipes. Once you know what ingredients you'll need, you can make a list. And here's an expert tip: look for recipes with similar ingredients so you can buy for the week in bulk and limit your prep time. When writing out your list, picture the grocery store. List out items per store department rather than by recipe to help you stay organized and get through the store faster. To avoid getting bored with the same flavors and foods, expand your shopping to local and ethnic markets. Look for different seasonings to cook within ethnic markets to spice up recipes. You may even find products not offered in your regular grocery store. Finally, attempt to purchase local produce. Local items will be fresher, may have less chemical exposure, and have a lower environmental impact. And here's another shopping tip. When shopping at a grocery store, stick to the perimeter of the store for healthier foods. The middle of the store contains all the processed packaged items that you want to avoid. Now, before you go shopping, make sure you give yourself time for food prep once you return home. Trust me, You're a lot more likely to use all that produce if it's ready to go when hunger strikes. Because the last thing that we want is to find that produce that's stuck in the back of the fridge and it's gone bad and it's all rotten and we have to throw it out. Ultimately, that's a waste of money. So, very important to prep it. So, make it a habit of washing and cutting everything before you put it away. This will help cut down on meal prep time. And with our busy schedules, it'll also with our busy schedules, it's hard for us to cook fresh meals every day. But if the prep is all done for you, then all you have to do is cook. And this is where the glass containers that I mentioned earlier, this is where they come in handy. Some foods can be cut and stored, while others can be cooked and reheated. Produce will typically last you up to 10 days in the refrigerator, while fresh herbs have a shorter lifespan. So you can buy herb plants for your kitchen or mix herbs with a healthy oil to cook with later on. All right, so let's talk about the actual transition. So you want to make the transition as smooth as possible. So here are a few tips to help with getting you started. Start by eating more of the plant-based meals you already eat. So this includes things like rice and beans, veggie stir fry, and pasta with tomato sauce, which are already vegetarian. Sift through your current food routine and pick out a few meatless meals you already enjoy. Also, shift the balance. When eating a meal you enjoy with meat, add more plant foods to the mix. You don't have to give up your favorite animal foods immediately. If there are one or two meals you don't want to live without, start by cutting animal foods you don't eat often. And find other plant based eaters. Um, Either invite friends and family to join your journey or look for vegetarian meetup groups. When making changes in your life, it's always easier um, when you involve others. All right, so now we're going to take a look at a couple of recipes. So these are a few recipes that I've created, and these are available at my website, livingsouljourney.com. So this first one is one of my personal favorites. This is rice and bean tacos. Remember, we were talking about rice and beans just a moment ago. And on top of that is my mango avocado salsa, which is absolutely incredible. And in addition to mangoes and avocado, there's also tomatoes in there, and jalapenos, and just a mix of the sweet, the sour, and the savory. Three S's. So really good, one of my favorites. And then this one here is a lentil shepherd's pie. So the filling here is lentils with carrots and peas, and then on top is mashed potatoes, and really good for those of you that are very much into comfort foods like I am. This is the perfect one for you. And finally, um, meals are never complete without dessert. So here's a dessert recipe that I came up with. It's a non-bake fruit pie. Since we're going to be getting into the warmer weather soon, this is the perfect dessert recipe to bring to your next potluck. No cooking required. It's basically just all fresh fruits, and it's absolutely good. All right, so now let's talk about supplements. Getting your nutritional needs from supplements may be tempting. However, supplements aren't intended to be a food substitute because they can't replicate all of the nutrients and benefits of whole food. Depending on your situation and your eating habits, dietary supplements may not be worth the expense. Whole foods offer three main benefits over dietary supplements. The first is greater nutrition. Whole foods are complex, containing a variety of macronutrients your body needs. The second is essential fiber. Whole foods such as whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and legumes provide dietary fiber, which is necessary for a healthy diet. And the third is protective substances. Whole foods contain other substances necessary for good health. For example, naturally occurring elements called phytochemicals and antioxidants can be found in fruits and vegetables. And as you continue your switch to a whole foods plant based diet, make sure to check in with your goals. This will keep you motivated. You may find your goals change over time, and that's okay. You can adapt to them, but the key is staying motivated. So I'd like to recommend a few things for you, several documentaries that you can watch to get more information on plant-based diets. The first one is a documentary called Forks Over Knives, which is one of my personal favorites, and it looks at the relationship between plant-based diets and managing disease. The Forks Over Knives website also contains many valuable resources related to plant based diets, as well as a plethora of success stories and lots of different recipes. Another documentary that I'd like to recommend is one called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And it focuses on one man's journey to lose weight, and it's done through juicing. Um, which is relevant to eating a whole food plant-based diet. Even though it focuses more on juicing instead of actual eating, I do think that it's beneficial to watch to see what whole foods can do for transforming the body. A couple of books I'd like to recommend: How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. Um, Wonderful information, and of course, the aforementioned China study, and that's by Colin Campbell. And another book, The Mind Gut Connection: How the Hidden Conversation with Our Bodies Impacts Our Mood, Our Choices, and Our Overall Health, and that's by Emeran Meyer. A couple of websites. Meatless Monday, an excellent resource for information and recipes. And that's at meatlessmonday.com. Also, another website for recipes, supercook.com slash recipes. And then some apps, Food Monster and Kitchen Stories, all wonderful resources to help get you started. And I'll have all those in the description box below so you can access them. And if anybody would like any of the resources that I use in putting together this webinar, feel free to message me. I'll give you all my information in just a moment. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in for this webinar. I know that I covered a lot of information today, but I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you have, um, both with the whole food plant-based diet, and also just even sharing my own story. I've been eating a whole food plant-based diet since April of 2017, so nearly 5 years now. And I can honestly say one of the best decisions that I have made for my health. So I know that the switch can seem intimidating. It can seem daunting, but I can tell you from personal experience that all it takes is one step at a time. All right. So you can message me with any questions that you have at johnhester@livingsouljourney.com. And for the recipes that I showed you today, as well as several others, you can go to my website, livingsouljourney.com. And also be sure to connect with me on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So I want to thank you for tuning in for today's webinar, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one. Have a wonderful day.